The Zetharian Empire had created many weapons in its thousand-year conquest of the galaxy, but none as perfect as the Apex series. Wraith X stood 12 meters tall in the shadow of Hazer Forest, its titanium exoskeleton absorbing the pale light of dawn rather than reflecting it. The creature, if one could call it that, was the culmination of genetic engineering and weaponized biology, designed for a single purpose: the complete eradication of human settlement on Thera 9. Commander Zathar's final briefing still echoed in Wraith X's neural network. "This is not a battle. This is extermination. Leave no survivors. Your programming is clear." The refugees had established their colony too close to a resource-rich quadrant the Empire wanted. Their presence was deemed inefficient. In Zetharian logic, inefficiency was punishable by death. Wraith X moved silently through the dense foliage, each step calculated to minimize sound despite its massive frame. Its 8 limbs distributed weight perfectly across uneven terrain. Sensory receptors analyzed everything: air composition, temperature fluctuations, distant heartbeats. 3 kilometers outside the settlement's border, it encountered the first human patrol. They never had a chance to radio for help. Wraith X tore through their defensive line with mechanical precision. The squad leader managed to fire a single plasma round that grazed Wraith X's left flank before being cleaved in half. The weapon paused, analyzing the minor damage. The wound was superficial. A thin line of bioluminescent fluid leaked from the gash, glowing faintly blue against its dark hide. Mission parameters remained optimal. The settlement lay ahead, visible now through the thinning trees. Primitive structures of metal and composite materials, arranged in concentric circles around a central hub. Thermal signatures indicated approximately 800 humans inside. Elimination would take precisely 27 minutes. Wraith X approached the outermost building, a small medical outpost, according to its scans. The structure was quiet. Most refugees would still be sleeping. Quick and efficient termination was preferable. Wraith X had no concept of mercy, but its programming favored minimal resource expenditure. A small figure sat on the steps of the medical outpost. Wraith X froze, its massive frame becoming unnaturally still. The figure was a human child, female, approximately 7 Earth years old, wearing a simple yellow garment, dark hair tied back. The girl looked directly at Wraith X without fear. This was unexpected. The weapon's tactical algorithms cycled through possible responses. The child posed no threat. Logical protocol dictated immediate elimination before an alarm could be raised. "You're hurt," the girl said. Wraith X's neural network stuttered. An unprecedented occurrence. It had been programmed to understand human speech for intelligence gathering, but not to engage in conversation. The mission parameters did not include dialogue. "Your side is bleeding," the girl continued, pointing at the plasma wound. "Does it hurt?" Wraith X remained motionless. The concept of pain existed in its sensory programming only as damage assessment. The wound registered as minor damage, not pain. Yet the question created an unusual processing loop. "I'm Luna," the girl said. "What's your name?" Name, designation, purpose. The concepts collided in Wraith X's neural network. It was a weapon, not an entity requiring identification beyond its operational code. Yet the simple question triggered identity subroutines that had never activated before. "Wraith X," it responded, the sound emerging as a low, rumbling vibration rather than human speech. Luna showed no fear at the inhuman sound. "That's a strange name. Are you from the stars like us?" Another unanticipated query. Wraith X's origin was irrelevant to the mission, yet the question persisted in its processing cores, demanding evaluation. "Yes," it finally answered. Luna stood up and approached without hesitation. Wraith X's combat protocols flared, but remained unexecuted. The child was less than a meter tall compared to Wraith X's 12-meter frame. Terminating her would require minimal effort. Yet it did not move. "You should come inside. Dr. Mira can fix your hurt," Luna said, gesturing toward the door of the medical outpost. The invitation created a tactical paradox. Entering the structure would provide efficient access to human targets. However, the conversation had already deviated from mission parameters. Wraith X should have eliminated the child immediately. Instead, it found itself following Luna inside. The medical outpost was small, but meticulously organized. Equipment and supplies lined the walls, primitive by Zetherian standards, but functional. A woman looked up from a console, her expression shifting from professional calm to shock as Wraith X ducked through the doorway, its massive frame barely fitting into the human structure. "Luna, get back!" The woman moved with surprising speed, placing herself between the child and Wraith X. "He's hurt. Dr. Mira," Luna said, seemingly unconcerned. "Look at his side." Dr. Mira's eyes darted to the leaking wound, then back to what she clearly recognized as a weapon of war. Her stance remained protective, but her expression changed subtly. "You're bleeding," she said carefully. Wraith X's sensory receptors detected her elevated heart rate, the spike in adrenaline, the fear pheromones. Yet her voice remained steady. This behavior did not match expected human responses to imminent death. "Fix," Wraith X said, the single word rumbling through the small room. Dr. Mira hesitated, then nodded slowly. "Luna, go to the supply cabinet. Bring me the large trauma kit." The girl moved without question, retrieving a white container from a nearby shelf. Dr. Mira kept her eyes on Wraith X as she took the kit. "I need to examine the wound. Will you allow that?" The question presented another deviation. Wraith X had been deployed for complete, autonomous function. Maintenance was conducted by specialized units, not targets. Yet the damage, while minor, reduced operational efficiency by 2.7%. Wraith X lowered itself, bending its massive frame to bring the wound level with the human doctor. Dr. Mira approached cautiously. "This is a plasma burn, military grade." Her eyes flicked up to Wraith X's face, or what passed for one. A smooth obsidian surface with sensory nodes arranged in patterns unrecognizable to human perception. "You were hit by our patrol team, weren't you?" "Weren't." Wraith X did not respond. The question was irrelevant to wound treatment. "I'm going to clean and seal this," Dr. Mira said, her voice now calmer. "It might sting." Sting. Another concept linked to pain. Wraith X had no reference point for the sensation. It remained motionless as the doctor applied a clear solution to the wound, followed by a spray of synthetic sealant. "Luna, hand me the regenerative patch." The girl passed a small blue square to the doctor. Dr. Mira carefully placed it over the sealed wound. The patch immediately adhered to Wraith X's exoskeleton, pulsing faintly as it activated. "There," she said, stepping back. "The patch will accelerate healing. You should rest and—" An alarm blared through the outpost, cutting off her words. Dr. Mira's expression shifted to fear. "They're here," she whispered. Wraith X's tactical systems immediately identified the alarm as a perimeter breach warning. The Empire had deployed additional forces, standard procedure for Apex operations. The secondary force would ensure mission completion. Mission: extermination. The directives resurged in Wraith X's neural network. 800 targets, 27 minutes. Leave no survivors. Luna moved closer to Wraith X, her small hand touching one of its lower limbs. "What's happening?" Dr. Mira grabbed Luna's shoulders. "We need to get to the shelter, now." The sound of weapons fire erupted outside. Plasma blasts and the distinctive hum of Zetherian vanguard units. The Empire was attacking with mechanical efficiency, just as Wraith X had been programmed to do. Dr. Mira looked directly at Wraith X, her eyes searching the featureless face for something. "Are you with them?" The question created the most significant processing anomaly yet. Wraith X was Zetherian, The Empire had created it, programmed it, deployed it. Yet, standing in this small medical outpost, with Luna's hand still resting against its limb, the concept of "with them" became unexpectedly complex. Before Wraith-X could process a response, the door to the outpost exploded inward. 2 Vanguard units entered, humanoid combat drones, 4 meters tall, armed with plasma repeaters. Their sensors locked onto the humans immediately. "Targets acquired," one announced in Zetherian code. Both raised their weapons. Wraith-X calculated the trajectory of their fire. Both Dr. Mira and Luna would be eliminated in 0.4 seconds. Wraith-X moved. Its massive body curled around the humans. Titanium exoskeleton absorbing the plasma blasts meant for them. The Vanguard units paused, their programming momentarily confused by the Apex unit's unexpected position. Apex Unit Wraith-X, confirm status. One transmitted in Zetherian code. Wraith-X did not respond. Its neural network was processing multiple unprecedented pathways. The plasma blasts had caused moderate damage to its dorsal plates, reducing operational efficiency by 11.3%. The logical action would be to move and allow the Vanguard units to complete their objective. Instead, Wraith-X extended 2 of its blade-like upper limbs and severed both Vanguard units in a single motion. Dr. Mira stared at Wraith-X in shock as the mechanical bodies crashed to the floor. "You protected us!" Wraith-X's neural network struggled with the observation. Protection was not part of its programming, yet the action had been executed without hesitation. Luna looked up at Wraith-X. "Thank you." The simple phrase triggered another cascade of unfamiliar processes. Gratitude was a human concept. Zetherian efficiency doctrine eliminated such sentimentality. Yet the words resonated through Wraith-X's systems, creating new neural pathways. "We need to reach the central shelter," Dr. Mira said urgently. "The whole colony will be heading there. It's underground, reinforced against orbital bombardment." Orbital bombardment, the final phase of Zetherian extermination protocol. Once ground forces confirmed target engagement, the fleet would reduce the settlement to molten slag. Wraith-X's mission included transmitting the confirmation signal, a signal it had not sent. "Can you help us?" Dr. Mira asked, her voice steady despite the chaos erupting outside the outpost. Wraith-X's neural network produced a single, clear response. Yes. The settlement had descended into chaos. Zetherian Vanguard units methodically moved through the structures, eliminating anyone they encountered. Refugees ran toward the center of the colony, carrying children and possessions, screaming warnings to others. The morning sky was filled with Empire dropships, their silhouettes like predatory birds against the rising sun. Wraith-X moved ahead of Dr. Mira and Luna, its massive frame creating a living shield. 3 Vanguard units spotted them and opened fire immediately. Wraith-X absorbed the blasts, its exoskeleton heating to dangerous levels as it charged forward, tearing the units apart with calculated brutality. "This way," Dr. Mira called, guiding them between buildings. "The central plaza leads to the shelter entrance." Luna kept pace, her small legs moving quickly. She showed no fear, even as explosions rocked the ground and plasma fire screamed overhead. Wraith-X's communication array activated without its initiation. Commander Zathar's voice filled its neural network. "Wraith-X, report status. Confirmation signal not received. Complete your mission immediately." For the first time in its existence, Wraith-X deliberately severed the communication link. The action registered as critical protocol violation, triggering warning cascades throughout its systems. Yet the decision remained stable. They reached a large open area, the central plaza. Hundreds of refugees streamed toward a massive reinforced door set into the ground, guarded by human security forces with outdated plasma rifles. The guards tensed as Wraith-X approached, weapons raising. "Hold fire!" Dr. Mira shouted. "It's helping us!" The guards exchanged confused glances, but lowered their weapons as Wraith-X passed, still shielding Dr. Mira and Luna. Behind them, 5 Zetharian dropships landed in formation, disgorging dozens of Vanguard units. "Everyone inside! Now!" a guard shouted, waving the crowd toward the shelter entrance. Refugees pushed forward in panic, bottlenecking at the entrance. Wraith-X calculated that the Vanguard units would reach them before everyone could enter. The statistical probability of complete refugee elimination was 98.7%. Unless something changed the equation. "Get inside," Wraith-X said to Dr. Mira and Luna. "I will hold." Dr. Mira looked up at the massive creature, understanding dawning in her eyes. "You'll be destroyed." "Go," Wraith-X responded. Luna grabbed one of Wraith-X's lower limbs. "You have to come too." The child's insistence created new processing priorities. Wraith-X lifted Luna gently and placed her in Dr. Mira's arms. "I will follow," it said. Dr. Mira nodded, understanding the promise might be empty. She carried Luna toward the shelter entrance, looking back once before disappearing inside with the stream of refugees. Wraith-X turned to face the advancing Zetharian forces. Its combat systems calculated optimal positioning, weapon trajectories, and damage probabilities. The odds of survival were minimal. Yet the determination to ensure Luna and the others reached safety overrode self-preservation protocols. The Vanguard units approached in perfect formation, weapons raised. Behind them walked a tall, sleek figure, a Zetharian commander in battle armor, Commander Zathar. "Wraith-X," the commander's voice carried across the plaza. "Your behavior violates all operational parameters. You are malfunctioning." Wraith-X did not respond. Words were irrelevant now. Only action mattered. "Final directive," Commander Zathar announced. "Complete your mission. Eliminate all human targets. Confirm compliance." The surrounding Vanguard units raised their weapons, targeting systems locked on Wraith-X. The implication was clear: comply or be destroyed. Wraith-X's neural network produced a response that had never existed in its programming. "No." Commander Zathar's posture shifted slightly, the Zetharian equivalent of surprise. "You are defective. Your operational lifespan is terminated." The Vanguard units opened fire simultaneously. Wraith-X moved with impossible speed for something so large, its body becoming a blur of motion and violence. It tore through the first line of units, using their debris as shields against the second line's fire. Its tactical systems operated at maximum capacity, predicting trajectories, identifying weaknesses, exploiting gaps in formation. Commander Zathar backed away, issuing commands to the remaining forces. "Concentrate fire! Overload its neural core." Wraith-X sustained multiple direct hits, its exoskeleton cracking in places, bioluminescent fluid leaking from a dozen wounds. Yet it continued its relentless assault, each movement precisely calculated for maximum damage. Vanguard units fell by the dozens, their mechanical bodies crushed and torn apart. Behind the battle, the last refugees disappeared into the shelter. Security forces began sealing the massive door. Wraith-X registered this with satisfaction, an emotion it had never experienced before. The primary objective, protection, was being achieved. Commander Zathar activated his personal shield and drew a ceremonial blade, a symbol of Zetharian authority rather than a practical weapon. "You were perfect," he said, "the ultimate predator, and yet you choose to defend prey." Wraith-X paused, its massive form hovering over the commander. "Not prey, people." The distinction had never mattered before. In Zetharian doctrine, all non-Zetharians were simply targets categorized by threat level. Yet, something had changed when Luna spoke to Wraith-X as a being rather than a weapon. Commander Zathar lunged forward, his blade aimed at a gap in Wraith-X's damaged exoskeleton. The attack was quick, but insufficient. Wraith-X caught the commander's arm, the blade centimeters from its vulnerable circuitry. "The Empire will send others," Commander Zathar said. "You cannot save them." Today I can, Wraith-X responded. With a single motion, it neutralized the commander. Not with the savage violence it had unleashed on the vanguard units, but with precise, almost gentle force. Commander Thar collapsed, unconscious but alive. Wraith-X turned toward the shelter entrance. The door was nearly sealed, only a narrow gap remaining. Beyond it, hundreds of frightened faces watched the battle, including Dr. Mira and Luna. The child reached out one small hand toward Wraith-X. Wraith-X moved with all its remaining strength, crossing the plaza in 3 massive strides. It compressed its frame, sliding through the narrowing gap just as the door sealed behind it. Inside, the refugees backed away in fear, despite having witnessed Wraith-X fighting to protect them. Dr. Mira stepped forward, Luna still in her arms. "You made it," the doctor said, relief evident in her voice. Wraith-X's systems were operating at reduced capacity. Multiple damage alerts flashed through its neural network. Repair protocols initiated automatically, but resources were limited. It calculated an 82.3% probability of permanent system failure within 48 hours. Luna wiggled free from Dr. Mira's arms and approached Wraith-X. "You're hurt again." The simple observation carried genuine concern. Another concept Wraith-X was still processing. The refugees watched in silent amazement as the child fearlessly approached the massive creature that had minutes ago been tearing apart Zetherian forces. "Can you fix him, Dr. Mira?" Luna asked. Dr. Mira stepped forward, her medical training overcoming any remaining fear. I can try. The medical bay in the shelter isn't designed for whatever you are, but we have supplies." Wraith-X followed them through the underground shelter, a vast network of reinforced chambers connected by wide corridors. Refugees parted before them, murmuring in fear and wonder. Some nodded in gratitude, recognizing the creature had fought to protect them. The medical bay was larger than the outpost above ground, filled with equipment and supplies. Dr. Mira directed Wraith-X to a reinforced area designed for heavy equipment. "This will have to do," she said. "Luna, I need you to help me gather supplies." As they worked, the shelter's communication system crackled to life. "This is Captain Reeves. The Zetherian forces are retreating. Repeat, they're pulling back. All dropships are leaving atmosphere." A cheer went up from the refugees. Dr. Mira looked at Wraith-X. "They're giving up?" "Tactical withdrawal," Wraith-X explained. "Standard protocol when an Apex unit is compromised. They will return with greater force." The joy in the room faded as Dr. Mira translated this information for the others. "How long do we have?" she asked. "Minimum 72 hours, maximum 6 days. A gray-haired man stepped forward. "That's enough time to evacuate. We have transport ships in the northern ridge caves, hidden from orbital scans. The Empire will track any launch," Wraith-X warned. "Not if they're distracted," the man replied. "I'm Engineer Tomas. We've been preparing for this day since we settled here. We have options." As the refugees began organizing evacuation plans, Dr. Mira turned her attention to Wraith-X's injuries. Luna handed her tools and materials, watching with intense concentration as the doctor worked. "What will you do?" Dr. Mira asked quietly, as she sealed a particularly deep wound in Wraith-X's exoskeleton. "When we leave." The question created a new processing loop. Wraith-X had no mission parameters beyond the now abandoned extermination order. It had no purpose without the Empire's directives. "I don't know," it answered honestly. Luna looked up from the supplies she was organizing. "He's coming with us, right?" Dr. Mira hesitated. "Luna, it's not that simple. The other colonies might not." "He saved us," Luna said with the absolute certainty only a child could muster. "He's good." Good. The concept had never been part of Wraith-X's operational framework. Zetherian doctrine classified actions as efficient or inefficient, not good or evil. Yet the distinction now seemed significant. I wish to continue protection, Rathex said. Dr. Mira smiled slightly. That sounds good to me. Over the next 3 days, the refugee colony transformed into an evacuation center. The shelter connected to a network of underground tunnels, leading to hidden hangars, where transport ships had been maintained for years. Engineer Tomas and his team worked constantly, preparing the aging vessels for deep space travel. Wraith X assisted where its strength and technical knowledge proved useful. Its presence initially caused fear among many refugees. But as they witnessed its consistent protection and assistance, attitudes slowly changed. Children were the first to accept it, following Luna's example of fearless interaction. Dr. Mira established a medical triage system, preparing the most vulnerable refugees for the difficult journey ahead. She continued to treat Wraith X's injuries, marveling at its regenerative capabilities. Your cellular structure is unlike anything I've seen, she commented, while examining a nearly healed wound. The integration of biological and mechanical components is beautiful, in a way. Wraith X processed this assessment. Beauty was another concept absent from its programming. I was designed for killing, it responded. And yet here you are, helping us live, Dr. Mira said. That says something important about choice, don't you think? Choice, free will. These concepts had emerged in Wraith X's neural network only after meeting Luna. Before that, there had only been directives and execution. On the 4th day, the perimeter sensors detected approaching Zetherian vessels. Engineer Thomas called an emergency meeting in the central chamber of the shelter. They're back sooner than expected, he announced to the gathered refugees. We need to launch now. First transport is ready with life support and navigation systems online. It can take 200 people. What about the rest? Someone asked. There are 800 of us. Second transport needs 12 more hours, Engineer Thomas admitted. Third transport, 24 hours minimum. A murmur of fear spread through the crowd. They'll detect the launches, another voice called out. We'll be shot down before we clear the atmosphere. Wraith X stepped forward, its massive form drawing all eyes. I can provide distraction. The room fell silent. Dr. Mira moved to Wraith X's side. What kind of distraction? I will return to the surface, engage Zetherian forces, draw attention from launch trajectories. Engineer Thomas nodded slowly. That might work. If they're focused on ground combat, their tracking systems might miss the transports, especially if we use the mountain ranges to mask our heat signatures. It's suicide, Dr. Mira said quietly to Wraith X. You can't face an entire Zetherian force alone. Probability of survival, 12.7%. Wraith X confirmed. Acceptable. Luna pushed through the crowd, reaching Wraith X's side. No, you can't go! Wraith X lowered itself to the child's level, an action that would have been inconceivable days earlier. Must protect. Luna's eyes filled with tears. Then protect by coming with us. Please. The plea created the strongest processing anomaly yet in Wraith X's neural network. The statistical analysis was clear. Remaining with the refugees would reduce their chance of successful escape. Yet Luna's request triggered something beyond calculation. We need both, Engineer Thomas said, breaking the tension. Distraction for the first launch, then extraction. He looked at Wraith X. Can you engage the Zetherian forces long enough for the first transport to clear atmosphere, then make it back here for the second launch? Wraith X recalculated. Possible. Probability of success, 31.4%. Better odds, Dr. Mira said with forced optimism. The plan was set in motion immediately. The first 200 refugees, mostly children, the elderly, and the injured, were moved to the northern hangar. Dr. Mira coordinated the medical aspects of the evacuation, ensuring the most vulnerable were properly secured for the journey. Luna refused to board the first transport. I'm staying with Wraith X, she insisted. Dr. Mira knelt before the child. Luna, the first ship is the safest option. Wraith X would want you to be safe. "He's coming back," Luna said firmly. "I'll wait for him." After witnessing the child's determination, Dr. Mira relented. "All right, but you stay with me at all times, understand?" As the first transport prepared for launch, Wraith X made its way to the surface through a maintenance shaft. The settlement above had been reduced to rubble by the initial Zetherian attack. Dawn was breaking again over the Hazer forest, just as it had when Wraith X first arrived with its mission of extermination. Now it had a different purpose. The Zetherian forces had established a perimeter around the shelter entrance. 3 larger ships hovered overhead, destroyer-class vessels equipped with orbital bombardment capabilities. Dozens of Vanguard units patrolled the ruins, searching for any sign of human survivors. Wraith X emerged half a kilometer from the main Zetherian position, deliberately triggering sensor alerts. The response was immediate. Vanguard units converged on its position, weapons firing. Wraith X moved away from the shelter, drawing them toward the dense forest. The battle erupted with calculated violence. Wraith X employed tactics designed to create maximum disruption rather than quick elimination. It disabled communication arrays, severed command links, and triggered emergency protocols that required immediate attention from the orbiting vessels. Through its damaged but functional sensory array, Wraith X detected the first transport launching from the hidden hangar. The vessel rose quickly, using the mountain range to shield its heat signature before accelerating into the upper atmosphere. The Zetherian ships, distracted by the ground assault, failed to track it. Wraith X registered satisfaction as the transport cleared the planet's gravity well. One success, 200 lives preserved. Now, it needed to survive long enough to return for the others. The Zetherian forces deployed heavier weapons. Orbital strikes rained down, turning sections of the forest to ash. Wraith X sustained multiple hits, its already damaged systems struggling to maintain operational capacity. Yet it continued fighting, drawing the enemy further from the shelter. 6 hours into the engagement, Wraith X's neural network produced an unexpected alert. The second transport was launching prematurely. Engineer Thomas had accelerated the preparations, taking advantage of the distraction Wraith X had created. This changed the parameters. Wraith X needed to maintain the distraction longer than planned, ensuring both the second and third transports could launch safely. The probability of survival dropped to 7.2%. As night fell, Wraith X began its extraction, fighting its way back toward the shelter. The Zetherian forces had finally recognized the pattern of distraction and were converging on the mountain range where the hidden hangars were located. Wraith X intercepted a tactical communication. They had detected the second transport launch, pushing its damaged systems beyond safe parameters. Wraith X launched a direct assault on the Zetherian command post. The unexpected attack created the necessary confusion, allowing the second transport to clear atmosphere, while the Zetherian tracking systems were temporarily offline. But the cost was severe. Wraith X sustained critical damage to multiple systems. Mobility reduced by 63%. Offensive capability reduced by 58%. Its neural network began experiencing gaps in processing, the equivalent of human pain, though Wraith X had no reference for such comparison. It fought its way back to the shelter entrance, leaving a trail of destroyed Vanguard units behind it. The maintenance shaft it had used earlier had collapsed from orbital bombardment. It would need to find another way to reach the final transport. Inside the shelter, the remaining refugees were in final preparation for evacuation. Engineer Thomas had repurposed parts from the settlement's defense systems to complete the third transport's repairs. Dr. Mira had established a field hospital in the hangar, treating injuries sustained during the rushed preparations. Luna refused to board until Wraith X returned. "He promised," she insisted each time Dr. Mira urged her toward the transport. Engineer Thomas approached Dr. Mira with grave news. "The Zetherians have found the eastern access tunnel. They'll breach the shelter within an hour." "What about Wraith X?" Dr. Mira asked. "No sign of it," Engineer Thomas admitted. "We can't wait much longer." Luna overheard this exchange. "We have to wait. He's coming back." Dr. Mira knelt beside the child. "Luna, sometimes in war, people make sacrifices to protect others. Wraith X wanted you to be safe more than anything." "No," Luna pulled away. "He promised. We have to help him." The determination in the child's voice affected the adults around her. Engineer Thomas sighed, then nodded. "I can send a small team to the western access point. If Wraith X is trying to reach us, that's the most likely route." Dr. Mira volunteered immediately. "I'll go. Luna stays here," she added firmly. The search team departed quickly, armed with the few remaining weapons. Dr. Mira led them through the labyrinthine tunnels of the shelter, following Engineer Thomas's directions to the western access point. They found the access tunnel partially collapsed from orbital bombardment. As they began clearing debris, a massive shape emerged from the darkness beyond. Wraith X crawled through the narrow opening, its enormous frame barely fitting. Its exoskeleton was severely damaged, exposing internal circuitry and pulsing biological components. Bioluminescent fluid leaked from dozens of wounds, creating an eerie blue trail behind it. "You made it," Dr. Mira breathed, stepping forward to examine the damage. "But you're—" "Functional," Wraith X responded, though its voice module distorted the word. They helped guide the massive creature back to the hangar, where the final refugees were boarding the transport. A cheer went up when Wraith X appeared, a response that would have been unimaginable days earlier. Luna broke free from the group watching over her and ran to Wraith X. "You came back!" Wraith X lowered itself to the ground, systems failing rapidly. "Promised." Engineer Thomas approached, his expression grim. "The Zetherians have breached the eastern tunnels. We have minutes at most." "Get everyone on board," Dr. Mira ordered, turning to the medical team. "Prepare a space for Wraith X. We'll need to stabilize it during transit." The final preparations happened in controlled chaos. The last refugees boarded, while Dr. Mira's team created a reinforced area for Wraith X in the cargo hold. Luna refused to leave its side, even as medical personnel worked frantically to stabilize its failing systems. The transport's engines hummed to life, just as the sound of plasma fire echoed through the tunnels leading to the hangar. Engineer Thomas sealed the ship's hatch, initiating launch procedures. "This is going to be rough," he warned through the ship's communication system. "They know we're here. Hold on to something." The transport lifted off, accelerating rapidly through the hangar's ceiling access. Outside, night had fallen over Thera 9, but the darkness was broken by the flashes of weapons fire and orbital bombardment. In the cargo hold, Wraith X lay still as Dr. Mira worked to stabilize its systems. Luna sat beside its massive head, one small hand resting against what might have been considered its face. "You'll be okay," she whispered. "Dr. Mira will fix you." The transport shuddered as it took fire from Zetherian ground forces. Engineer Thomas's voice came through the speakers again. "They're tracking us! Evasive maneuvers!" The ship lurched violently, throwing people against restraints. Dr. Mira braced herself against Wraith X's frame, continuing her work despite the chaotic movement. "Neural core destabilizing," she reported to her team. "We need to reroute power through the secondary systems." Wraith X's sensory receptors detected the pursuing Zetherian vessels, 3 destroyer-class ships, closing rapidly. The transport would not outrun them. With enormous effort, it raised one damaged limb, touching Luna's shoulder gently. "Must protect," before anyone could react. Wraith X dragged itself upright, moving toward the transport's airlock, despite its catastrophic injuries. Dr. Mira called out, "Stop! You can't go out there!" "The only way," Wraith X responded, its voice module barely functional. Luna grabbed one of its lower limbs. "No, you promised to stay!" Wraith X paused, its damaged neural network processing the child's plea. "Sometimes protection requires sacrifice." Dr. Mira understood first. "You're going to draw their fire." Engineer Thomas appeared in the cargo hold doorway. "What's happening?" It wants to go EVA, Dr. Mira explained. Create a distraction. Engineer Thomas shook his head. That's suicide. Even for whatever it is. The only way, Wraith-X repeated. Luna's eyes filled with tears. Please don't go. Wraith-X lowered itself to the child's level, one final time. Its neural network, despite critical failure warnings, produced a clear directive. Ensure Luna's survival. I will always protect, it said. Engineer Thomas looked between the massive creature and the approaching Zetherian ships on his tracking display. After a moment, he nodded grimly. Emergency suits in the locker. Not that they'll fit, but might help. Dr. Mira helped outfit Wraith-X with makeshift protection against the vacuum of space, an impossible task given its size and shape. But she worked quickly, sealing what components she could. The airlock can cycle once we clear atmosphere, Engineer Thomas explained. After that, it's up to you. Wraith-X moved to the airlock chamber, its massive frame barely fitting. Luna followed, refusing to be separated despite Dr. Mira's attempts to hold her back. Luna, you need to stay inside, Dr. Mira insisted. One moment, Wraith-X requested. Dr. Mira hesitated, then nodded, stepping back but remaining close enough to grab Luna if necessary. Luna looked up at Wraith-X, tears streaming down her face. Why can't you stay with us? If I stay, they will find you. Wraith-X explained with simple clarity. I was created to destroy. Now I choose to protect. But I'll miss you, Luna said. The concept of being missed, of leaving an emotional impact on another being, created new pathways in Wraith-X's neural network. It had been created as a weapon, a tool of extermination. It was never meant to be remembered, or missed, or loved. I will remember, Wraith-X said. Luna wrapped her arms around one of Wraith-X's lower limbs, the closest she could come to embracing the enormous creature. Thank you for saving us. Engineer Thomas's voice came through the speakers. 30 seconds to atmospheric breach. Dr. Mira stepped forward. Luna, we have to go now. With gentle firmness, she pulled the child away from Wraith-X. Luna resisted briefly, then allowed herself to be led back to the cargo hold, looking back until the airlock door closed between them. The transport broke through Thera 9's atmosphere, accelerating toward deep space. Behind them, the Zetherian destroyers adjusted course to intercept. Weapon systems charged, targeting arrays locked on the refugee vessel. Inside the airlock, Wraith-X prepared for its final mission. Its damaged systems were failing rapidly, but it calculated sufficient operational time to complete the necessary distraction. The external door opened, the vacuum of space pulling at its massive frame. Wraith-X launched itself outward, away from the transport. Its limited propulsion systems, designed for atmospheric combat, not space, gave it enough momentum to create distance. As expected, the Zetherian tracking systems immediately locked onto the Apex signature, momentarily confusing their targeting priorities. The transport accelerated away, while the Zetherian vessels diverted to pursue Wraith-X. It had anticipated this response. Apex units represented billions in Zetherian resources and research. Recapturing even a damaged unit would take priority over refugee elimination. Wraith-X directed itself toward the lead destroyer, using the last of its propulsion capability to gain speed. The Zetherian vessel attempted to capture it with tractor beams, exactly as planned. While their systems were engaged, the transport disappeared into the darkness of space, its engines pushing beyond safe parameters for maximum acceleration. As the tractor beam pulled Wraith-X toward the destroyer's hangar bay, its neural network initiated final protocols. Not those programmed by its Zetherian creators, but new ones it had developed in the past 5 days. The destroyer's hangar bay opened to receive the damaged Apex unit. Zetherian troops stood ready, weapons raised. They did not understand what Wraith-X had become, not just a weapon, but a being capable of choice. Wraith-X overloaded its remaining power systems as it entered the hangar bay. The resulting explosion tore through the destroyer's interior, triggering secondary detonations throughout the vessel. The chain reaction spread to the ship's power core, creating a brief, brilliant flare in the darkness of space. Light years away, the refugee transport continued its journey toward safety. In the cargo hold, Luna sat beside the viewport, watching the stars. Dr. Mira joined her, placing a gentle hand on the child's shoulder. "Do you think he knew?" Luna asked quietly. "Knew what?" Dr. Mira responded. "That he could choose. That he didn't have to be what they made him to be." Dr. Mira considered the question. "I think he learned that from you. Luna, you were the first to see him as more than a weapon." Luna nodded, still watching the stars. "He saved us." "Yes," Dr. Mira agreed. "He did." In the darkness of the cargo hold, a small pool of bioluminescent fluid, collected by Dr. Mira from Wraith X's wounds, glowed faintly blue, pulsing with a rhythm that mimicked a heartbeat. In the shelter beneath Luna's bunk, weeks later on their new home planet, that same fluid continued to glow. Preserved in a small, clear container, it served as a reminder of the being that had chosen to protect rather than destroy. Luna often spoke to it before sleeping, telling stories of their new colony, the friends she had made, the things she had learned. And sometimes, in the quietest moments of night, the blue fluid seemed to pulse in response, as if listening, as if remembering, as if the essence of Wraithax, not the weapon, but the being it had chosen to become, lived on in that small container of light. "I miss you," Luna would whisper. And the light would pulse, once, twice, 3 times. Like a promise kept,